You know, there's something incredibly fascinating about human interaction, especially when it comes to attraction. It's subtle, often unconscious, and yet it reveals more than words ever could. Today, we're going to explore a truth that most older women don't realize, one that can completely change how you perceive social interactions. It's about a single question, a single line that men use far more often than we realize. But here's the catch. It's not just about what's said. It's about why it's said and what it truly reveals about interest and attraction. Let's start by understanding the psychology behind it. When someone is attracted to another person, their mind is in a constant state of calculation. Not conscious calculation, but subtle, instinctive, and often invisible cues. Men, like anyone else, are searching for signals, signs that someone is open, approachable, and responsive. What many women fail to realize is that it's not always the grand gestures, the elaborate compliments, or the bold confessions that reveal interest. Sometimes it's the smallest, seemingly innocent question that carries the most weight. Think about the way men approach people they're interested in. There's curiosity, yes, but there's also testing, a psychological ping, if you will, a way to see if the other person is willing to engage, willing to connect, or even willing to entertain the idea of being seen in a romantic or personal light. And the way this question is framed, it's subtle, but it's deliberate. Now, here's the key point. Many older women assume that if a man asks something casual or seemingly neutral, it's just small talk. They don't realize that this question, this specific inquiry, is almost always a tool of attraction. It's designed to gauge reaction, interest, and openness. It's a psychological probe, and the reason it works so well is because it disguises intent. It's not, "I like you." It's not, "I want to date you." It's neutral enough to feel safe, but potent enough to carry a message. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're at a social gathering, a casual setting, nothing overtly romantic, and someone leans over and asks something that seems almost trivial, maybe about your preferences, your opinion, or even something about your past experiences. At first glance, it might seem innocent, but here's the subtle psychology. This question is not just about the topic. It's about observing your response. Are you engaged? Are you playful? Do you show warmth? Do you create a little spark of connection? Every reaction, every nuance is being analyzed. Now, why is this particularly interesting to older women? Because there's an assumption that men are straightforward or that attraction is always obvious. But attraction is rarely that direct, especially in today's social dynamics, where confidence, subtlety, and emotional intelligence play a huge role. Older women may have experienced dating or social norms differently, and they may not pick up on the nuanced ways interest is signaled today. The subtle question is a form of testing boundaries, understanding emotional receptivity, and ultimately signaling desire without being overtly aggressive. Here's another layer. Men are often socially conditioned to approach attraction indirectly. Direct expressions of interest can feel vulnerable, so they lean on these subtle strategies. The question they ask, the conversation they initiate, is carefully calibrated to see if the other person is receptive. And it's fascinating because it mirrors how our brains are wired. Humans are wired to look for safety, openness, and mutual willingness before expressing emotions fully. This single question becomes a psychological litmus test, a way to navigate that uncertainty. You might wonder what makes this question so universally effective. Why do nearly 97% of older women miss the signal? The answer lies in expectations and perception. Many women interpret social interactions literally. They hear the words, they respond to the literal meaning, and they overlook the emotional subtext. But emotional subtext is where attraction lives. It's not in what's asked, it's in how it's asked, the timing, the tone, the slight shift in gaze or posture. These are the indicators of interest. And here's where self-awareness becomes crucial. Recognizing the pattern, understanding the subtle signs, and learning to interpret social cues with clarity can completely change how one experiences interactions. It's empowering to know that something seemingly minor, a casual question, a simple inquiry, can carry deeper meaning. It's not manipulation, it's psychology, pure and simple. It's the way humans navigate uncertainty in relationships, the way desire is tested before commitment. Now, let's take a closer look at the intention behind it. This isn't about trickery, it's not about deception. It's about curiosity, attraction, and connection. Men ask this question because they are interested, because they want to know if there's potential, and because they are navigating the delicate dance of emotional availability. And when you understand that, you begin to see the pattern everywhere. You notice how interactions are subtly designed to test emotional responsiveness. You see that interest often comes wrapped in indirect cues rather than overt declarations. Here's an important insight. Recognizing this question and its intent doesn't just help you understand others, it helps you understand yourself. How do you respond to attention? How do you react when someone tests your openness? Do you feel confident, playful, guarded, curious? These reactions are deeply telling, both to yourself and to the person observing you. And the beauty is, awareness gives you control. You can navigate social interactions with clarity, confidence, and even grace. Another fascinating aspect is timing. This question is rarely asked at random. It's often introduced at moments of vulnerability, subtle interest, or shared experience. And it's precisely the timing that amplifies its effectiveness. Humans respond strongly to context, emotion, and perceived availability. A question asked at the right moment is exponentially more revealing than the same question asked randomly. And that's why older women who may rely on more traditional cues often miss the significance. They focus on content rather than context. So, what can be learned here? First, recognize that subtlety is powerful. Small actions, small words, tiny inquiries can carry enormous meaning. Second, understand the psychology behind these interactions. Attraction is not just about looks or charm or overt gestures. It's about emotional cues, curiosity, and testing. And third, self-awareness is transformative. By observing reactions, noticing subtleties, and interpreting intent, you gain insight into both yourself and others. And here's a truth many overlook. Interest often comes disguised as casual conversation. A simple question, seemingly mundane, can be the first spark of connection. It's the doorway to intimacy, attraction, and understanding. And the reason nearly 97% of older women miss it is because it doesn't look like traditional flirting. It's modern psychology in action, a reflection of how humans navigate desire, interest, and connection today. It's also a reminder of human complexity. Attraction is not linear, it's layered, nuanced, and dynamic. The mind searches for safety, emotional resonance, and openness before signaling desire. That small, simple question is a mirror of that complexity. It's a test, an invitation, and an observation all at once. And when you recognize it, when you truly understand it, your perspective shifts. You see social interaction not just as words exchanged, but as emotional communication, subtle negotiation, and psychological insight. And finally, there's empowerment here. Awareness is power. Understanding that this question is a signal, not just small talk, gives you agency. You can respond thoughtfully, with awareness and with intention. You can engage, play, reflect, or set boundaries with clarity. And in doing so, you transform how attraction, connection, and social interaction operate in your life. Because at the end of the day, understanding the psychology behind human interaction is about understanding yourself, your boundaries, and your desires. It's about recognizing signals, interpreting them with clarity, and responding with confidence. It's about seeing attraction for what it truly is, not just words, not just gestures, but a dynamic, subtle, and deeply human process. And that single, seemingly innocent question, it's the gateway to all of that. Now let's consider another dimension, how self-perception influences the way these questions are received. Many women underestimate the subtle power of their own responses. The truth is, men are not only asking to gauge interest, they're observing confidence, playfulness, and emotional availability. The way you respond, the tone you use, the little laugh, the hesitation, even a thoughtful pause, these are all rich signals. Every subtlety is a form of communication that goes far beyond words. And here's the interesting part. The more you are aware of your own patterns, the more control you have over the interaction. You can choose curiosity, amusement, engagement, or even set clear boundaries, all without ever having to over-explain or overcompensate. Think about how much of attraction is rooted in emotional safety. A man may be interested, but he's cautious, just as women often are. That question is a bridge. It's a subtle invitation into emotional space, a way to test whether it's safe to express interest, whether vulnerability can be met with warmth rather than judgment. And this is why context matters so much. The same question asked in one environment might seem casual, while in another, it carries layers of meaning. Recognizing this allows you to see patterns, to decode signals that are otherwise invisible, and to respond in ways that are aligned with your own comfort and intuition. And here's something that surprises a lot of women. It's not always about what the question is literally asking. Often it's about what the person is not saying. Attraction thrives in the unsaid, in pauses, glances, and tonal shifts. Men have learned, consciously or unconsciously, that direct declarations can feel risky, even intimidating. So instead, they use curiosity, playful questions, or subtle inquiries to create a safe space for both parties to explore connection. Understanding this flips the narrative. It's no longer he's just asking a question. It becomes he's sending a signal. And seeing the signal is the first step to understanding the dynamics of attraction at a psychological level. Now let's talk about repetition. Often the same question will appear in different forms, subtly tested over time. This is a key aspect that older women frequently miss. It's not about the individual question, it's about pattern recognition. If someone is consistently asking, observing, or initiating certain topics, it's rarely coincidence. There's intentionality behind it, rooted in attraction and interest. And yet, because it's delivered in small doses in a casual manner, it often flies under the radar. Recognizing patterns requires mindfulness, attention to detail, observation of consistency, and a deeper understanding of human behavior. Another point worth exploring is the emotional resonance behind the question. Men are often drawn to responses that feel genuine, warm, and emotionally present. They are testing for engagement, for emotional reciprocity, for a spark of connection. And here's the subtle genius. The question itself might be neutral, but your reaction transforms it. Your tone, your expression, your curiosity, and your playfulness amplify or diminish its impact. Attraction, after all, is a two-way process. The question initiates the dance, but your engagement choreographs it. We also need to consider how social experience shapes perception. Older women, having experienced different norms of communication, may interpret these questions differently than younger women. What seems casual or inconsequential is often a strategic probe, an emotionally intelligent tool used to gauge interest without creating pressure. Understanding this is liberating because it allows you to interpret interactions with clarity rather than assumption. You begin to see not only intent, but also patterns of consistency, curiosity, and emotional intelligence. And let's not forget subtlety in nonverbal cues. While the question is being asked, the way it's delivered matters immensely. Eye contact, slight shifts in posture, micro expressions, all of these communicate intent, interest, and emotional curiosity. Many women focus exclusively on the verbal content, overlooking the richness of nonverbal communication. But attraction doesn't live in words alone. It lives in tone, timing, context, and the unspoken dialogue that occurs beneath conscious awareness. When you truly understand this, you realize how much of social dynamics is a negotiation of vulnerability. That single question is rarely innocent. It's a psychological tool designed to explore openness, safety, and compatibility. And recognizing this empowers you. It gives you insight into both the other person and yourself. You begin to understand how interest is communicated, how boundaries are tested, and how emotional intelligence guides attraction. Now let's explore how context can completely change the meaning of this seemingly simple question. The same words can feel light and casual in one setting, but charged with interest in another. For example, in a group setting, a question might seem playful, part of conversation, but in a quieter one-on-one moment, that same question carries layers of curiosity and intent. The timing, environment, and emotional energy all amplify the signal. This is why awareness is so important. Recognizing context allows you to see beyond the words and understand the underlying message. It transforms ordinary interactions into a window into human behavior, attraction, and emotional intelligence. And here's something many women overlook: the power of curiosity. The question isn't just about what's being asked, it's about eliciting your response. Men are often assessing how engaged, warm, and playful someone is, and your response is a form of communication that speaks far louder than the question itself. A laugh, a pause, a thoughtful comment, a hint of playfulness. Each of these signals emotional receptivity and openness. In other words, your reaction gives as much information as the question. Attraction is a dance of mutual signals, subtle cues, and emotional resonance. Another layer to consider is pattern recognition. This question rarely exists in isolation. Often, it appears repeatedly in different forms across multiple interactions. Men are testing patterns of engagement, looking for consistency and emotional availability. Older women often miss this because they focus only on the literal question, not the larger pattern of interaction. But when you begin to notice consistency, curiosity, and playful engagement, you start to see an invisible roadmap of interest. Understanding this pattern is empowering. It allows you to respond with awareness rather than assumption. Let's also think about emotional safety. This question functions as a kind of test for vulnerability. Attraction is rarely about instant declarations. It's about gauging whether it's safe to express interest. The subtlety of the question allows for exploration without risk. And here's the interesting psychological insight. The way someone responds to your reaction often reveals more than the question itself. Do they mirror your energy? Do they respect your boundaries? Do they respond with warmth or pressure? These micro observations are what reveal intent, even more than words ever could. And then there's the fascinating interplay of self-perception. How we interpret attention says as much about us as it does about the person initiating it. If you are confident, playful, and aware of your own value, your response will amplify attraction. If you are unsure or dismissive, the signal may get lost. Men, like anyone else, are instinctively reading emotional availability. The question is simply a vehicle for that observation. Recognizing this gives you control. You can respond intentionally, thoughtfully, and in alignment with your comfort and intuition. We also need to acknowledge that subtlety is strategic. Directness can feel intimidating, even overwhelming. That's why this simple question is so effective. It is low risk, low pressure, and psychologically insightful. It allows someone to test interest without forcing a vulnerable confession. And here's the truth: this subtlety is exactly what makes it so revealing. The small, neutral-seeming question carries far more meaning than a straightforward compliment ever could. Understanding this shifts perspective from literal to interpretive, allowing older women to see attraction in a completely new way. And let's not forget nonverbal communication. While the question is being asked, every micro expression, slight change in posture, subtle eye movement, and tonal inflection conveys additional meaning. Words alone are never the full story. Emotional cues are layered and powerful. Older women often focus on literal content, but the psychology of attraction is written in these tiny details. Observing tone, timing, and body language gives insight into genuine interest, curiosity, and emotional engagement. Finally, consider how this question interacts with human intuition. Attraction is rarely rational, it is emotional, instinctive, and subconscious. A simple question asked in the right way and at the right time can trigger feelings, curiosity, and interest without ever needing to be explicit. Recognizing this allows you to move beyond surface-level interpretations and see the emotional truth beneath interactions. You begin to understand that attraction is not just what is said, but what is felt, interpreted, and responded to in subtle, intelligent ways. So here's the truth: what may seem like a small, casual question is actually a window into human behavior, attraction, and emotional intelligence. It's a signal, a test, and an invitation all at once. Understanding it doesn't just help you decode others, it helps you understand yourself, your boundaries, and your emotional power. Awareness transforms the way you interact, the way you respond, and the way you navigate relationships. Never underestimate the subtlety of attraction. Never dismiss the small cues, the playful questions, or the seemingly neutral interactions. They carry meaning, intention, and insight. The moment you recognize this, you step into a space of clarity, confidence, and control. You no longer react passively, you observe, you understand, and you respond with wisdom. Remember this: attraction is not random, and signals are never meaningless. The right attention, the right question, and the right curiosity are all reflections of interest. And when you see it for what it truly is, you no longer miss the signals, you no longer second guess, and you no longer underestimate your own ability to recognize and respond to genuine connection. Be aware, be confident, and never forget that understanding the psychology behind these interactions gives you the power to navigate attraction, relationships, and connection with intelligence, grace, and strength.